Ekonene ni mazingira day, na kama kuna story imetuzingira saa hizi ni story ya the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. Na jana usiku nilikuwa na watch JKL live, alafu nika notice that the message is the same. Najua ile message utasikia Ekonene na message utasikia from political analysts kama kina PLO Lumumba, Barack Muluka ni the same. The only thing ni language yetu itakuwa flowery, but wacha tusikie kitu fulani ile nani alisema PLO.
You see, Jeff, when there is a marriage of convenience which is not underpinned by ideals which are in the best interest of the nation, then you get where you get. And this is the tragedy of our country, that our country is not a country where people enter into arrangements which are in the best interest of the country. These are marriages of convenience which are transacted for very transient things. And when that happens, when one has gotten the animal that they were hunting, then they forget that indeed there is a nation to be served. It is
Umsejo yoga na kilamikali. So ilikuwa a marriage of convenience, Rigathi Gachagua na William Samoei Ruto. Na kitwaga interesting na history yote ni a lot of people don't know that this marriage was doomed to fail. And I've kept saying this hata saa zingine wanichikinikiwa na kina RAPCHA na Ian and Zach. I keep telling them that this thing was doomed to fail. So ilibidi me go back in time. Nataka kutake back to the thing that made me realize that this so-called marriage was doomed to fail. And apart from that, kulikuwa pia na the fact that that according to Mimi, if you are to ask me, Ruto never wanted Rigathi as his running mate. This is something that he was strong-armed, and a lot of people wanachukua says, the political genius, how can he be forced into anything? How can he? No, he really wanted this thing. And since he wanted it, he was ready to do anything just to get it. And kuna hii video pia ilimetokea ya another person who would also predicted this, na kawasewa Mombasa walikuwa na predict hii story ya hii kitu ko doomed to fail, and they used to say it. Mimi, I'd say this was left in my subconscious. That's why I can remember the few events that preceded what we are seeing right now. But saizi wata tucheki msejo Amason Kingi, who knew the Speaker of the Senate, if I'm not wrong, kuna kitu alisemaga pia juu this whole bottom up thing, and this was before
na hizi wheelbarrow na mikokoteni baada ya kura ya mwaka 2022 zitakatika. There'll be no wheelbarrow. There'll be zero wheelbarrow after 2022. Hutaona wheelbarrow ama mkokoteni. Kozi ni chambo cha kutafutia kura. Wajua anafuga kuku pale nyumbani. Si kwamba anapenda sana kuku. Na asubuhi anatoka, anachukua kihindi, mahindi anaanza kumrushia. Si kwamba ana mapenzi makubwa sana. Ana sababu. Na ile sababu kisha yale mahindi anachukua anarejea pale alipoyatoa mwanzo. Ndio hizi wheelbarrow. Ndio mahindi haya Ruto. Mtu anakuambia wewe ni kama mimi. Wewe ni hasla kama mimi. Kwa hivyo chukua wheelbarrow. Baada ya kuchukua wheelbarrow anapanda helicopter.
Asikia baada ya kuchukua wheelbarrow anapanda helicopter. Wase wengi walikuwa fooled na history ya Ruto na Rigathi najua, and especially of course the fact that Ruto pia alikuwa anatumia Bible ilifanya wase wengi sana wakaingia box. But hatubongi juu ya wase kuingia box, tunabonga juu ya why this marriage was destined to fail, and why I'm always wondering like why is no one talking about this. So acha ni kutake back in time, na kutake back in time to 14th of May 2022. On 14th of May 2022 there was a rumor going round that Kithure Kindiki was going to be named as the running mate wa Ruto. And then I remember nikuwa na watch news, because watching news ile casually, I just watch like a few headlines here and there. I never take it that seriously. And I remember like this specific time nikisikia wasa na chant kitu na nashindwa like what the fuck are they talking about. So this is what happened on 14th of May 2022.
ya kwamba wabunge wakiongozwa na mheshimiwa, hata sio mheshimiwa, huyu jamaa wa huko Kikuyu anaitwa Kimani Ichung'wah, na alikuja akaamukia huko Karen leo. Alikuwa amebeba pesa na magunia, akaenda akiwa mlevi, na tunajua watu ya Kiambu wako na shida ya ulevi. Akaenda akaambia Deputy President ati lazima wao kama wabunge wapige kura. Tunataka kumwambia hivi Kimani Ichung'wah, na usikilize vizuri, usicheze na watoto wa Mau Mau.
Tunavuata Rigathi Gachagua. Hapa tulikuwa tumekuja kutoka asubuhi tukigojea our Deputy President William Samuel Ruto ata announce mwaniaji wake ama mtogo wake wa kiti kia August 2022.
Macheki. So kulikuwa na hii no Rigathi no Ruto. So this happens during the day. And I remember nikicheki hiyo vile nakwambia sikuwa najua Rigathi Gachagua nini, na usibaki umejaa na mimi like how did you know him, but of course I still follow news because ilikuwa I was already a podcaster and talking about politics. It's something imeniingiza in trouble because kuna kwa buda hakuna kitu yote unajua. Okay, sawa buda, si unajua, endelea, sawa, bye. Okay, so let's go back to 14th of May usiku. Nilikuwa na watch miwaga na msa kulala late kabisa, so kukakuwa na breaking news, na and this breaking news of course mse alikuwa anatupatia this breaking news alikuwa Hussein Mohamed. And I remember like cause ni kama cameras zote zilikuwa zimeenda Masai za Karen, and now this was the time to announce the running mate. So hiyo time yote the person that had had everyone talking about was Kithure Kindiki. So nilikuwa na expect that umse akitokea atabaki ametuambia that kuna vile wameachia Kithure Kindiki ndiye atabaki amekuwa the running mate. So this is what we expected to be announced. This is on the 14th going to the 15th. Yes. So kama ni 15th ilikuwa asubuhi kabisa usiku.
Kenya Kwanza Alliance has had a series of meetings today where several matters touching on were discussed. This include one, the continuing bottom-up economic forums that have been going on in the country, and two, the development of county charters. The meeting today has agreed on a program for the BUE, that is the bottom-up economic forums, and development of charters for the remaining counties. As you are aware, and of course the whole country and the whole world, the running mate issue was also extensively discussed today. We are happy to announce that we have a decision as Kenya Kwanza, and the decision has been reached and will be officially communicated to you, to the country, and to the world tomorrow.
So ancheki. So this is on the 14th. Hii tayari ilikuwa ishapita saa 6, so ilikuwa the 15th, but tunajua vile susemaga tomorrow cause tuna count days na daylight. So the next day now kukakuwa na the anticipated press conference, and you don't have to be a body language expert to see that Ruto was not happy doing whatever was happening. Ulikuwa chikitu Ruto nika alikuwa zile za sasa ufala, mimi sijisikii na ufala, lakini sasa ni kama ameniforce na ufala, so lazima nibaki tu nimedui hii story. So alikuwa hapo anakaa ameboeka, anasoma. Ukiangalia hapo kwa background na cheki Murkomen ukiangalia sura ya Murkomen pia unacheki amekaza sura. Unacheki wa Mushomba, unacheki mse mwingine alikuwa ameget away na mada, so akahepa alafu akabaki amerudi. Alafu unabaki umecheki nani tena. So watu walikuwa unacheki Jagwa pia alikuwa hapo. Kila mtu alikuwa, but if you look at Ruto, and you don't have to be like this body language expert, lazima ucheki like alikuwa na read statement na alikuwa zile 50-50, and I think with this nile alikuwa na feel like I've been strong armed into this, and no one strong arms William Samoei Ruto, the political genius. So wacha tusikie vile alibaki ameannounce Rigathi.
The Deputy President under the Kenya Kwanza Alliance will also perform real duties that will be assigned to him by the President. I say this because it is important that every constitutional office must work for the people of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, that good Kenyan, my friend, whom I have worked with, especially on the economic model that now has famously been referred to the bottom-up economic model. And we started that journey together. He understands people issues. He is passionate about ordinary people. My friend, I present to you the Kenya Kwanza running mate candidate, my brother and friend, Riggy CASHAPP.
Vile Ruto jo ameboeka jo akuchapia kale kake kwa iko nene iraya je na kujaje kuniforce kufanya nini. So acheki, of course lazima ujifanyisha umesmile. You can see the fake plastic smile. Mzabaki umecheki hakuwa happy, he's just clapping zile za kuaccept. But Gachagua mwenyewe vile alitokea, of course you can hiyo video pia mzabaki umecheck out, alitokea kama amebambika kabisa. But I think in the back of mind ya Ruto ilikuwa like umsame ni blackmail, na since ameni blackmail, sawa, I'll take it, but we shall revisit. Alafu uni msemoja ule ukicheki wase wengi wale wanamjua anasemagana kuagana hasira kabisa. Uni mse ushaisikiaga tukipatia story vile inasemekana kuna time ni kama Matiang'i alimekigia joke about him and karibu arukia Matiang'i mashati, na hiyo time the president who was Uhuru Kenyatta at the time was there. So he's someone who can't actually control his anger. So he strong amiwa was one of those things where he was like, wewe ntabaki nimekupata. But sasa kitu interesting pia na this whole story ni niko na watch sasa kina PLO. So niko na watch PLO na Barack Muluka na walikuwa on Citizen, and I found it to be super interesting because walikuwa nasema some of the things that we say, but of course sisi tunaisemaga in flowery language. Unajua sita kwa wale wasewa eko nene alafu tabaki tumesema ka F word pale ka nini, but it was the same thing. Like there are some things that are so simple to see, you don't need to have been a political analyst for 50 years to see. Wacha to check like one of the things ile PLO alisema.
Really care much. But Jeff, the president is on record assuming that the internet doesn't lie and that the records which are in your archives saying is that when I assume the office of the president, I will never allow my deputy to be subjected to the humiliation that I was subjected to. But I now know in Kenyan politics, memories are short and selective.
Sajaga umsona ki nini like he is like a poet. So before impeachment happened, if there was someone who was going around really disrespecting the deputy president, ilikuwa Kimani Ichung'wah. Na sunacheki hata if you go back to ile clip ya no Riggy no Ruto, you remember Kimani Ichung'wah was also being called out, and you can see how Kimani Ichung'wah and the president are so tight. So it was only a matter of time, but the goose ilikuwa cooked ikikam to goose ya Riggy. Ilikuwa tu Riggy just had to play his position and just like cheza chini, like upendwi umekuja hapa. But Riggy pia alikuwa like the sort of person who was so arrogant that this whole vice presidency ili get into kichwa yake, that akasahau that first of all you are not the first choice, alafu second pia akasahau there's this one thing ile mupendaga sana quote, it's a series, it's a fictional series, but you need to watch it kama unatry to understand politics, because politics is the same universally. But kuna mse mmoja anaitwa Frank Underwood, yosemaga proximity to power fools many that they wield it. So the fact that because mimi ushaisikia nikisema a deputy president is like a flower girl, but it's a flower girl who's one heartbeat away from the presidency. So it's a very like tricky position, because if anything happens to the president, you'll be the most powerful. Check ile kitu ile happen TZ. But if nothing happens to the president, you'll be the most useless. Because wewe si cabinet secretary, wewe si nini, so uko pale unafaa sijui kusupervise things that the president tells you. Unakunga Ruto akisema vile atampatia list ya vitu za kufanya, but eventually when that happens, no one gives you anything to do, so you end up being like this flower girl umeboeka, and this is where now opportunities za corruption zinakuja kwa kichwa. That's why ukiangalia now Rigathi being accused of corruption, and the person accusing him of corruption, pia Uhuru accused him of corruption. The famous Uhuru story, I need to look for that nikiwachezea, but kuna ile nini moja Uhuru akisema vile alikuwa na drive gari, anaangalia nyuma anachekijua kiti imetolewa, na drive kidogo anacheki spare tire imetolewa, anacheki that was him saying that his deputy was corrupt. So now this guy ends up assuming that he wields power, and through that end up na madharau. He used to go to places and he'd just talk and talk and talk, and sometimes Buddha jo inasemekana jo sometimes just shut the fuck up. Alafu ile time alikuwa na bonga, some of these things are funny because some of the people he used to praise are the same people saizi wamechukua daga na wakamseti kwa mgongo.
Na vile Ichung'wa amesema, huyu mzee akitendawili, kama hujui sisi, kama hujui mimi vizuri, kama hujui Kimani Ichung'wa, hujui Ndede Nyoro, watoto wa Maumau, kwenda tafuta Uhuru Kenyatta, umuulize hiyo vijana watatu ni ya rangi gani. Si huyu Kenyatta alikuwa kwa mamlaka, tukamwambia atembee, alienda nyumbani na aibu.
Cheki hii ndio ilikuwa the arrogance, ukamwambia atembee. And it's sad because when I look at Rigathi and I look at the proceedings against him right now, I know that they are bullshit. And one of the things nilisema kwa video fulani ile nilibaki nimeangusha jana asubuhi, nilikuwa nasema that the fact that it didn't matter what he said, like the parliament ilikuwa isha make up mind yao that they were going to impeach him. And when I was saying that, I was not saying that as a lawyer, because I'm not a lawyer. Unacheki mimi tu nimsay fulani ule, as I said, I just observe these things and I try to understand them and then break them down in a layman's language. And when I was saying this, sikuwa najua that later in the night nitakuwa nikiwatch akina wanaitwa nini, akina PLO, na watabaki wamesema the same thing but in much different words. As I said, my language can get flowery. So this is what nilikuwa nimesema in the morning, and then tutasikia kile PLO alisema. But when all is said and done, when I think about this whole story, kile neza sema ni Gachagua actually defended himself, and he not only defend himself, he defended himself very well, but Parliament came there knowing they were going to impeach him. So there was nothing that he was going to do or say that was going to change whatever they were thinking about this whole thing. Cheki, so mimi kwa nasema that say his goose was cooked. By the time alikuwa nafika hapo alikuwa sha make up mind yao, and it's a sad state of affairs because when you think about it, hii kitu inafaa kuwa kitu unaishia pale, unabaki umejitetea, alafu after ujitetee unasikizwa, alafu kama whatever you said makes sense, unabaki umeforgiviwa. But now you have a parliament that the president just controls. So we basically right now, I don't know how many arms of government we have. I think we have one arm of government, because even the judiciary is 50-50. I'm about to say 1.5 arms, because at least once in a while the judiciary does something and you're like, you know what, the judiciary inafanya kile na nini. But history ya Gachagua, the fact that like we knew the result and these people are out there. Even the person who's supposed to be the referee, mse anaitwa Wetangula, alikuwa out here akituambia ile kitu anaenda kufanya, and that's the state, like the sad state of affairs in this country. So vile nachiki nasema, like haikuwa inajalisha kile Rigathi alikuwa anaenda kusema, his goose was cooked. Acha tusikie kile PLO alisema.
Keep going and let the chips fall where they may. And I think it is also important for this country. And that is why I think that it is important that we listen to him in the Senate. I've listened to my good friend Paul Mwite making early arguments in the case I say, and Barack has also alluded to it. At what time was it proper to seek public opinion or public participation? They should have waited until he made his case on the floor of the National Assembly so that the people will have heard him and heard the mover of the motion, but they put the cart before the horse. And as we said a little earlier, the choreography was a choreography that was designed to achieve an end, which end has been achieved in the National Assembly. But as we know, the journey is not yet over.
Cheki. So they knew what they wanted, and there's nothing that he was going to say that was going to save him from them. Walikuwa sha decide this guy, we are going to impeach him, and we are going to make Ruto happy. And this also reminds me of kuna post fulani ile umse anaitwa nani Ledama alikuwa amepost straight after the impeachment. Ledama is a senator, alibaki ametag Ruto akasema we can never fail you or something close to that, and then eventually he deleted it and claimed that he had been hacked. But that also shows you what's going to happen with the kitu tenda ku happen with the Senate, where this guy, yes, he keeps fighting, but even in the Senate his goose is cooked because of these motherfuckers. Wacha tusikie kile Baraka alikuwa anasema juu the same thing.
He came out on Monday, he spoke, he made his statement, and by the time he was getting to the National Assembly, he had accumulated a reasonable fund of sympathy and empathy from right-thinking Kenyans. The best thing he could hope to get out of this whole exercise is to clear his name. And in my view, to the best possible extent, he has cleared his name.
Cheki. So yeye kapia mimi nikisema he did a very good job, na alibaki ameclear jina yake, because you could see like he could explain everything. Were the stories about their brother yake ish, yes, there's always that, but if you look at mse kama Ruto and we look at how much Ruto is worth, hii story ya 5 billion should not even, najua ni kitu ile. And this, we are not saying this because we are trying to justify corruption, but we're just saying that if you're going to impeach someone, at least impeach them on grounds that make sense. So hapa ndio nilikuwa nasema just stories of flowery language. So kuna kitu fulani ile Jeff alibaki ameuliza, alafu utasikia the answer that Barack gave.
I don't know which.
You look at,
I don't know what you were watching, Barack. I don't know what you were watching. 282 people.
It doesn't matter if you are talking about voting automatons that are mobilized Muppets that are sitting on the strings of the puppeteer, and he's pulling the strings, and people who have been saying, I'm not going to vote yes, are voting yes.
Did you just call them Muppets?
Yeah, of course, they're Muppets or puppets. And there's
You know,
I take it. So they are Muppets, they are puppets, and there's a puppeteer. And of course the puppeteer tunajua ni William Samoei Ruto. And that's what he said. But Mimi, like earlier in the morning, I'd talked to the same people, and I told them what I thought about them, because it's very sad kuona wase wale, like they don't have like like just an opinion, just have free thought. Like unaweza tumia brain yako ubaki umeona hakuna haja ya ku fight every battle that the president sends you to. If the president has beef with the deputy president, let them go through the term the same way ye mwenyewe na Uhuru ali go through the term, because don't forget inasemekanaga Uhuru na Ruto walikosana in the first term, but remember Uhuru played it down mpaka wakabaki wamemaliza. So what message did I have for these 281 motherfuckers?
Motherfucker. Fatherfucker. Friendfucker. Sisterfucker.
Yes, hiyo ndio kitu nilikuwa na feel juu say like and it's a very sad state of affairs that we may reach a point where right now we basically don't have the legislative arm, and this arm is going to do everything that the executive wants, and we are going to reach a place ingine ile wataanza kupitisha laws, because don't forget the opposition has already jumped into bed na say and itaendelea tu kuwa the same bullshit. And kuna watu watadanganywa that Gachagua is the biggest enemy, and now we are waiting to see like what happens next week on Thursday. But as I said, there's that Nini that leaked. Kuna hiyo message ili leak, and the message that leaked was Ledama akiambia president that they can never fail him. And don't forget that Edama was one of the people who was with Ruto. Ilikuwa yeye na yeye, Joho, Raila, yes, walikuwa huko, and I think hii time yote walikuwa na plan. And now what I don't know is the vice presidency going to maintain in central ama wanaenda kuitake away from central, because there's also the other idea of them thinking like they're going to set up the broad-based government, and with the broad-based government they're trying to see beyond central province, and they feel like wakiwa na mse kama Raila on their side, since according to mse alikuwa anatupatia hii story, they know that Raila knows how to win elections but he just doesn't know how to get power. Na wenyewe wanajua how to get power and how to keep power, they are guaranteed to get power. So what's going to happen? What I know is we need to stop complicating things, because I feel like Upper Kenya, it reaches a certain level where we start complicating things and we make these things look like very complicated, and things are not as complicated as they are. Like there's another thing that I talked about kwa one of the podcasts, and I was talking about the fact that when you look at Ruto and you look at the Adani deal, you can know that Ruto is involved in this Adani deal. And the example that I was using was that Ruto yuchorwa mpaka leo na Gado uchoraga Ruto amevaa nini ya Kihindi, and this is because at some point Ruto alikuwa anajulikana, alikuwa na was he pretending kuna ile nini yake ya kuna time alikuwa akifaitia ile land yake ya ilikuwa ni Weston. Yes, like one of the owners wa Weston was an Indian, and we came to discover that Indian was Ruto. So this is something that I'd said about Ruto. Alafu baki umecheki hizo majina sijui Masing manini, he's one of those, because hakuna vile ataachia wife wa David D na yeye mwenyewe haiko hapo like involved fully. Macheki hizo Masing yeye iko hapo. So nilikuwa nasema the way if you see a name like Singh na iko pahali, jua tu hiyo ni Ruto, like tunamjuaga. And me of course nikisema naisema online, but now there are people who get the opportunity to say the exact same thing but now on national TV, and the message is clear. Tunajua vitu za Ruto. Wewe utakuwa hapa nje unajidanganya that umse sijui amedu nini, umse hajui whatever is happening, aiki tu ni Wahindi au Wahindi wanakamin kutuokoa, but nah.
Adani may have an Asian face, but Adani is a Kenyan. Adani sits somewhere in powerful places in this country. Otherwise, Adani would have run away by now. We say of the burglar that he comes, he breaks the window, he tries to come in, and he doesn't manage. You see him before he breaks through the window, he runs away. Who is this Adani who cannot run away? Yeah.
Yes, who's this Adani who cannot run away? And there's only one Adani, and that Adani is William Samoei Ruto. And yes, so this was a very interesting nini kusikiza jana usiku. As I said, yet of course we'll say the same thing, and we'll say it with flowery language. I won't call them puppets, I'll call them clowns, because most of them are clowns. Kuna msepia alikuwa ananizushia online akisema sijui the average Kenyan voter is sharp. No, the average Kenyan voter is not sharp. This is someone who will put tribe over his own interests. Unemse atajua as long as umse leader wake yuko sawa, ya jali that hana hospitals, hajali that hakuna hakuna shule, hajali that hana stima, hajali that hana access to internet, and internet nowadays is education in itself. So that's the average Kenyan. And yeah, tutaendelea kufuatilia hii story. I'm looking forward to next week on Thursday. I think Gachagwa's goose is cooked, as I keep saying, but I think that it's going to even get more interesting ile time watu wataenda hapo wameenda nini, wataenda hapo wameenda court. And now I'm going to see, will the court still behave the same way as the easy parliament, both Senate and parliament, like ama kuna vile court itakuwa different na itabaki imesema yes, it's good to impeach someone, but impeach someone based on real stuff. Don't impeach someone claiming that this person is breaking all laws, breaking what? And at the same time, kwa the same parliament, you can actually see Didmas Barasa wearing that red hat of his, and that red hat iko dyed in blood. Najua your red ni ya damu. That's one of the ironies of life. So this guy alishoot an innocent Kenyan. You walk around anaingiaga State House anashakiwa mkono, but this other dude who used to be a DO is the worst person that we've ever seen. You know, that's where the problem is. So yeah, kama kawa vile nimesema, ama MP tutaendelea kuwa cheki na mtaendelea kujichocha, lakini kitu moja msisahau kuwa in 2027 wengi wetu tutaamka asubuhi, na tukiamka asubuhi message yetu itakuwa very simple.
Motherfucker. Fatherfucker. Friend fucker.